Log 05 examined what the bloodstains are made of, the chemistry, the pattern, the dispute that has not been resolved. This log examines something different, not the blood, the image beneath the blood. The body image on the Shroud of Turin is one of the most studied and least understood artifacts in the history of forensic science. It has been examined by physicists, chemists, textile engineers, and imaging specialists. It has been subjected to every analytical technique available. What those examinations have established is precise. What they have not established is how it got there. That is the question this log addresses. Not with a conclusion, with the record. The image on the shroud is a photographic negative. When Secondo Pia developed his 1898 photographs of the cloth, he found that the negative of his photograph showed instead a fully formed, detailed, anatomically precise human figure. The image on the linen is itself a negative. The dark areas in the photograph become light. The light areas become dark. The tonal values are inverted. This was not known before photography. No medieval artist could have painted a negative because the concept did not exist. In 1976, NASA scientists John Jackson and Eric Jumper fed a photograph of the shroud into a VP8 image analyzer. A normal photograph fed into the VP8 produces a distorted, meaningless surface. The shroud image produced a geometrically accurate three-dimensional relief of a human body. The image encodes spatial information, depth, distance between the cloth and the body's surface at each point. No known painting encodes information this way. It is not a painting. It is not a rubbing or a contact print in any conventional sense. The 1978 STURP examination established the physical properties of the image with precision. The coloration exists only in the outermost fibrils of the linen, a layer approximately 200 nanometers thick. 200 nanometers, 2/10,000ths of a millimeter. The image does not penetrate into the thread. It exists only on the surface, the uppermost surface of individual fibrils. No pigment, no dye, no stain applied by any known process produces a coloration of this superficiality. The STURP team spent 5 days on the shroud in 1978 and 2 years analyzing the results. Their published conclusion: it is not the result of any pigment, stain, powder, or dye applied to the surface. Every pigment hypothesis has been eliminated. Paint requires a binder. No binder has been found on the image fibrils. Iron oxide particles are present but distributed uniformly across both image and non-image areas. They are not the image. The image fibrils show a chemical change, a dehydration and oxidation of the cellulose that is not consistent with material application. The image is in the linen, not on it. Every contact hypothesis has also been tested. A body pressed against linen transfers material, but contact transfer distorts geometry. The shroud image shows no distortion. If you wrap a cloth around a head, the image will be stretched at the sides. The shroud image is not stretched. The proportions are anatomically correct for a flat projection, not a contact transfer. Every thermal hypothesis, scorching, heating, radiation, has been modeled and tested. Scorching produces fluorescence under UV light. The shroud image does not fluoresce. Scorching also chars deeper than the image coloration reaches. The image coloration stops at 200 nanometers. No thermal process tested has produced that combination of properties. In 2008, Italian chemist Luigi Garlascelli produced a full-size replica using a bas-relief rubbing technique. The replica is visually similar at a distance. Under microscopy, it is not. The coloration is deeper and less superficial. It shows the distribution of a contact transfer rather than the uniform surface coloration of the original. The replica does not encode three-dimensional information in the VP8 analyzer. It does not match the depth. Every reproduction attempt has produced something that does not survive close comparison with the original. The image formation record admits two explanations. Explanation A: a medieval forger produced a negative image, encoding accurate three-dimensional spatial data at a coloration depth of 200 nanometers without any pigment or binder, using a technique that has not been replicated in the 700 years since, and did so before the concept of a photographic negative existed, before the VP8 image analyzer existed, and before anyone knew that a 200 nanometer coloration depth was either possible or significant. Explanation B: the image was produced by a process that has not been identified. It records something that actually happened. What physical mechanism could produce a 200 nanometer negative image is a question the record poses but does not answer. 6 evidence logs, 6 chains of custody, the scalp wounds, the textile, the pollen, the carbon dating, the blood chemistry, the image formation, each examined independently, each followed where it leads, each arriving at the same structural position. The forgery theory is not refuted by this evidence. It is burdened by it. It requires a forger of impossible knowledge, impossible technique, and impossible restraint, who left behind nothing that can be found, replicated, or explained. I want to say something briefly that falls outside the forensic record. I am a writer. The Keller Corpus is a thriller novel series. Anna Keller is a fictional character, and the investigation she conducts is a work of imagination built on a real evidentiary record. But I have spent a considerable amount of time inside this evidence, reading the peer-reviewed literature, following the chains of custody, sitting with the findings that do not resolve cleanly in either direction. And I will tell you honestly that evidence has moved me. Not to certainty, the forensic record does not produce certainty, but to something I did not expect when I began this project. I believe this cloth is what the evidence suggests it might be. That is a personal statement, not an investigative conclusion. The investigation continues to follow the record. But you asked, or you will ask, and now you know where I stand. The chain of custody is not complete. Evidence log 07 examines the textile itself, the weave pattern, the thread diameter, and the specific botanical evidence, pollen species embedded in the cloth, that places the shroud in a geography France cannot account for. The question is not whether the cloth is old. The question is where the cloth has been. The evidence log is open. The full record is at searchannakeller.substack.com. The search continues. Pay attention to what does not fit.